Now at 10 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, the latest on wildfires burning across Crossroads.
A routine drive turns dangerous in an instant when flying debris smashed through a windshield.
Plus, a major investment in bringing new hope for mental health care in rural Texas, including a big boost right here in Victoria County.
Well, our winds have settled down, and that's the good news. Most of the fire danger warnings have been lowered for the night. However, the weekend is going to be windy, but it's going to be coming from the other direction. We'll talk about that and our chances for rain coming up in a moment.
And Refugio Thorough Sierra Tilly breaks more records at Beeville track meet earlier today. Find out what happened in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Shawna Currie.
And I'm Don Brubaker.
We are on high alert for fires with very little rain in sight, and just the wind keeps blowing.
That's right, and let's see if the rain is in the sight of Mac Perez. Is it in your sight, Mac? Rain.
Well, I got some binoculars and I'm looking far into the next week. Things might be different next week, and I'm going to tell you about it coming up in a moment. Right now, the best news we have is that our winds have settled down completely. Early this morning, they were strong out of the north. It was rather cold this morning, but then they calmed down, and now we have no exact warnings up right about now. However, as we go through tomorrow, the winds are going to start rolling back to the south, from the south rather. You see this area of green, that's the humid air, slowly it'll be creeping back up into our area. Tomorrow, a beautiful day. No significant wind, but we're still very dry. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about the long-range plan for some shower activity around here. We'll talk about it coming up in a minute.
All right, that's definitely good news for the fire crews that are battling flames in the Crossroads and across the state.
Indeed. At 25 News Now weekend anchor Amaya Norman joins us with the latest. Amaya?
Yes, Shawna and Don, wildfires are breaking out across Texas, keeping emergency crews on high alert as they battle multiple blazes. One of the largest fires in the Crossroads, the Sarco Creek Fire in Goliad County, ignited around 6:30 Wednesday evening between Highway 185 and FM 240-41. Fire crews from Goliad, Refugio, and B County, along with state agencies, worked tirelessly through the night to contain the flames. As the latest updates, the fire has scorched approximately 200 acres and is now 95% contained. The Texas Forest Service Task Force remains on site, working to get full containment and monitoring for hot spots. Meanwhile, Beeville and South B County firefighters are currently battling the Silver Creek fire off Baker Road. The Texas Forest Service is providing air support to help suppress flames. So far, 64 acres have burned and it's 85% contained. Right now, there are 11 active fires burning across the state. Fire officials are urging residents to remain cautious as dry conditions and strong winds continue to fuel fire outbreaks across the region. Shawna and Dawn, back to you.
Amaya, thank you. And due to red flag conditions, a burn ban was in effect for a second straight day for DeWitt County Thursday. No outdoor burning was allowed due to weather conditions.
Fire crews are battling the Pauline Road fire in San Jacinto and Montgomery counties, which has burned more than 2,300 acres and is 45% contained. Firefighters and first responders have been working around the clock evacuating and protecting homes, but one home in San Jacinto County has been destroyed. It's unknown if anyone was inside the home or if they had evacuated. A Texas A&M Forest Service investigator says they now know how that fire started.
We can say we can attribute the cause of this fire is to a prescribed burn. We're not going to release any information as far as to the names to the folks involved in that. We'll say that there is an investigation surrounding the circumstances of that prescribed burn. If there's any criminal charges that come out of that investigation, we'll refer that to the San Jacinto County District Attorney's Office.
The Pauline Road fire started Wednesday afternoon. Evacuated residents have been able to return to their homes this evening. A proposal to create a statewide system connecting emergency personnel and agencies is among several bills that target problems exposed during the devastating wildfires in the Texas Panhandle last year. To read this full Texas Tribune article, visit crossroadstoday.com.
With several elections on the May ballot here, one local political expert says the biggest decision is not who you vote for, it's making sure you show up and cast your ballot.
25 News Now reporter Ray Mosley has more on the upcoming local elections.
Election Day is May 3rd as candidates prepare for the local elections. The District 6 and 7 seats for the Victoria ISD School Board are open, as well as the city mayoral seat. I spoke with political science lecturer Woodrow Wagner II, and he emphasizes the importance of voting locally.
It's so important to vote for those local leaders because they're going to make decisions that affect our lives more so than the state and more so than the federal officials.
VISD Board President Mike Mercer is retiring, which leaves his district seat open. There's 3 candidates running. Those are Christian West, Joshua Moore, and Mitch Costello.
Regardless of who's elected, this individual is going to determine what kind of school your child goes to in Victoria Independent School District.
VISD district candidate Margaret Pruitt is running for re-election alongside Andy Rokovich. Wagner mentions both candidates care for the community and want to better the school district.
Who's on our school board absolutely matters and is going to matter even more as our school board will have more power than it's probably ever had in its lifetime.
Wagner also encourages voters to decide whether the venue tax for the community center will be beneficial. Wagner feels the renovation for the community center would keep events here rather than going to other places.
It would mean more events.
Wagner stresses that voting is very important because these are the people that will speak for you. Ray Mosley, KVU TV, 25 News Now.
The City of Victoria will host 2 meetings to explain what the venue tax means. Those will be on Monday, March 31st and Monday, April 14th. The last day to register to vote is April 3rd.
El Campo ISD is letting voters decide a bond proposition on the May ballot. The $80.9 million bond, if passed, would be used for additions and upgrades at Hutchins Elementary, the high school, and career and technology facilities. It would also provide safety and security improvements throughout the district. Voters can learn more about the bond at ecisd.org/bond2025.
Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton got a temporary restraining order against Maria Rojas and her network of Houston area clinics for providing abortions and practicing medicine without a license. Rojas and 2 other employees who worked with Rojas to run the clinics were arrested this week. The order effectively closes Rojas's facilities in Waller, Cypress, and Spring.
Victoria law enforcement arrested a man on child sex crime warrants from Maine. Around 10 o'clock this morning, Victoria County Sheriff deputies, along with Texas Rangers, arrested 31-year-old Jeremy Leita on Old Highway Road. Leita, a Victoria resident, was wanted in Maine on charges including visual sexual aggression against a child and sexual misconduct with a child under 12. Authorities took him into custody without incident. His warrants came from the Aroostook County Sheriff's Office in Maine, and now he's waiting to be transferred in order to face those charges there. Governor Greg Abbott announces a $239 million investment to expand mental health care in rural Texas. $40 million of that is coming here to Victoria County. The funding will go toward a brand new mental health facility named Hope Ranch, adding up to 60 much-needed beds for patients. The goal is to keep those struggling with acute psychiatric illnesses closer to home for treatment instead of sending them to major cities. State leaders say this investment is a game changer, improving access to care and easing the strain on hospitals. Construction on Hope Ranch broke ground last month off Highway 185.
The Victoria City Council passed resolutions this week supporting the University of Houston Victoria's transfer to the Texas A&M University system. The council backed the Texas House and Senate bills for the transfer. City Council said the transfer would help the university line up with our area's industrial and agricultural base. Joining the A&M University system, the council said, would provide increased access to resources, learning opportunities, and academic programs. Victoria County Commissioners Court will take up the matter at their next Monday meeting. A South Texas man is warning other drivers about the dangers of debris on the road.
This comes after a metal rod smashed through his windshield on the highway. Lily Celeste has the story.
The 18-wheeler ran over a discarded piece of running board from another vehicle. The running board subsequently flipped up in the air and came down, went through the windshield of my Jeep, of my vehicle, and it went through the passenger side.
This is what happened to Charlie Armendariz' windshield yesterday afternoon. He says a mechanic was test driving his car after fixing it up. Thankfully, he was riding alone.
Had there been a passenger, I'm afraid they might have been severely injured, if not worse.
You can see the damage it did and the damage it could have done to a passenger. Armendariz says he's seen lots of objects on the road, but never thought it would impact him directly.
There have been a number of occasions when I've called in to the local police department to tell them that there was debris in the road, and it generally results from somebody who's traveling in a pickup truck type vehicle that doesn't secure their load.
Luckily for Armendariz, the shop fixed up the windshield for him. Still, he says it's made him think twice about following distance, who he's driving behind, and even objects in the wind.
Especially lately with these high winds, I've seen bags blowing across the expressway. Imagine if one blew across your windshield for a second, obscured your view.
If you see something that looks like a danger to drivers, you can call local police or report it online to TxDOT. But Armendariz says it starts with other drivers and has this message for people transporting materials and heavy objects.
And it generally results from somebody who's traveling in a pickup truck type vehicle that doesn't secure their load. So that's really where the problem starts. If the guy carrying the stuff would tie it down, guys who are driving behind might not be so prone to run into the debris.
Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10. Grieving parents share a controversial message on measles after their tragedy.
Also ahead, a massive drug haul hit shore. Wait until you hear the staggering total.
Get ready for the madness. Think you know college hoops? Prove it. Enter the Final Four Frenzy presented by Coastal Bend College. Put your bracket up against sports director Max Williams and weekend sports reporter Ray Robinson. Dribble on over to crossroadstoday.com to enter on the contest page. Win it all and score a family 4-pack with a hotel stay and a round of golf for 2 at Moody Gardens in Galveston. The Final Four Frenzy presented by Coastal Bend College. Brackets lock soon. Enter now.
Links fatty muscle to potential heart problems.
With more, here's ABC's Melissa Adon.
A new study published in the European Heart Journal has found a possible link between fatty muscles and increased risk of having heart problems, particularly for older women. Researchers measured levels of fat within muscle tissue by looking at stress test scans of over 600 adults in their 60s who had undergone routine cardiac testing. 70% were female and 46% were non-white. They recorded how many of them experienced heart problems, like death from heart issues and hospitalizations for heart attacks, heart failure, and strokes over the next several years. The study found that higher amounts of fat embedded within muscles was associated with an increased risk of having small vessel coronary artery disease, a disease that does not cause blockages in major heart arteries, but affects tiny blood vessels within the heart that can also lead to chest pain and heart attacks. They also found that for every 1% increase in fatty muscle, there was a 7% increased risk of having a major cardiac event like dying or being hospitalized for heart problems, regardless of BMI or risk factors. If you or a loved one have questions about ways to improve overall heart health, please speak to your healthcare provider. With this Medical Minute, I'm Melissa Adon.
The Texas parents of a child who died of measles urge others not to vaccinate. The couple, members of the Mennonite community in Gaines County, were interviewed by an anti-vaccination group. An unvaccinated 6-year-old girl in Lubbock became the first person to die of measles in Texas in a decade on February 26th. The mother said her other 4 surviving children were treated with castor oil and inhaled steroids and recovered. The deceased girl's father insisted that measles helps build up a person's immune system.
A new study suggests babies as young as 1 may be able to form memories, but they can't remember them. Researchers studied 26 children from 4 months to 2 years old using an MRI machine to show them familiar and new images. If babies focused longer on a familiar image, it indicated memory recall. The researchers found that babies over 12 months had stronger memory encoding as their hippocampus was more active. Now they're investigating why babies can form memories but cannot retrieve them in their early years. The U.S. Coast Guard offloaded more than 45,000 pounds of seized drugs in Port Everglades, Florida. Authorities said the haul, which is the result of 14 interdictions in the eastern Pacific Ocean by the crews of U.S. Coast Guard cutters Stone and Mohawk, has a value of more than $517.5 million. The drugs, mostly cocaine and some marijuana, weigh a whopping 23 tons. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said this is an unprecedented seizure of illicit drugs. A Final Four frenzy is here, and the road to the NCAA championship is wilder than ever. I know the games were exciting tonight. Everyone was watching them.
Still going on, too, yeah.
So for our viewer poll, if you could think you can predict the upsets and nail the perfect bracket, we want to know, have you played our Final Four frenzy yet? 88% of voters say no, they have not. 5% say it's on their list to do. So we encourage all of those people who have said no, and it's on my list, to go ahead and get registered so they can start taking part in this. And we appreciate the 7% who already have started playing. But you can vote by going to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. You can sign up for the Final Four Frenzy by going to crossroadstoday.com as well. And thank you to everyone who voted.
It's hard to get any work done around here with all those games on TV. Anyway, folks, we're at 53 degrees. It's nice and cool out there. It won't be as cold as this morning. I mean, we got down to 30s, but it will be a cool evening. And tomorrow, not a bad looking day. We got up to 72 today. We'll be up to about 77 tomorrow. But the winds are the thing that worry me. We'll talk about that. But most importantly, I'm going to go out on a limb here, guys. You ready? I'm going to do a super duper long range forecast. I see rain in the distant future. We'll talk about that coming up after this. Good evening, everybody. This forecast is for all my farmers are out there who are waiting for a nice rain, okay? I know it's planting season and it's been hard, it's been dry, it's been cakey ground, but stay tuned, okay? And I'm ready to put it, you can write this down, okay? I want you to hold me to it. All right, first of all, clear skies over Texas, high pressure on top of us. The big storm that gave us a north wind is gone. Now we have another front that's coming in. That one's going to be here over the weekend. That's not the one. Calm winds, that's very helpful for tonight, making sure we don't have any fire problems out there. We still have extremely low humidities. Look at that. We're into 30% right here in the green, 40%, and the rest of the state is even drier than that. 10, 20% humidities, unbelievably dry for this time of the year. What's going to happen in the next day? Well, you're going to see the winds that were out of the north today. That's why it was so cold. Eventually, by the end of tomorrow, start rolling up from the Gulf Coast and bringing back some of that humidity and a little bit of moisture at least, but they'll be kind of breezy in the afternoon. That's Friday. Saturday, the winds continue out of the southeast, but they're going to get very strong in the afternoon. You see right there up to 25, 30 miles an hour. So, you know, again, we are not completely out of the woods in terms of fire danger, but this on Saturday afternoon is going to be something that we're going to have to watch very carefully. I want to show you the big picture across the state because this is the high pressure on top of us that brought us the nice weather and the northerly winds this morning. That is going to be rolling east. This little front is coming through the area, and then by the time we get to the weekend, it may give us a change a little bit. Now, I'm teasing, I'm holding you with a tease here. Watch out, it's gonna rain, okay? 45 is our overnight low, and then tomorrow we're getting up to 77. Really a beautiful day, if you don't mind the wind in the afternoon. On Saturday, it'll be a good weekend day, but you gotta watch out for that very strong wind in the afternoon hours. So this is Future Track, 7 days out. This is a GFS model. I wouldn't pull it out if I didn't think it was for real, all right? But this is now the third run that I've seen the same thing. So we go for Thursday into Friday. What do we have? Nothing. Sunny skies, dry weather. We go to Saturday. We've got the strong winds. We got some moisture beginning to develop down here on the coast. We go to Sunday, all of a sudden we see some cloud cover, and remember that little front I showed you? That's the one that passes by on Sunday. And all of a sudden the atmosphere begins to loosen up. Now you're going to look at this area of the world, basically the Sonoran Desert. Pressures are coming from the west coast down across this and then over Texas. So watch what happens on Tuesday. We start watching a little moisture down southwest. What's going on? Then we go to Wednesday, and then we see a blob of showers over the desert southwest. And Thursday of next week, we see a blob of showers in Texas. Okay, like I said, I wouldn't pull this out if I didn't believe in it. And this is now the third run I've seen where this shows up. So let's keep our fingers crossed because we really could use a little moisture around here, and it may come to us 7 to 8 days from now, all right? You can write that down and call me later if there's a problem. All right, tomorrow, a beautiful day, sunny skies, southerly winds, kicking up by the afternoon, but a nice 75 down along the coast. Inland, looking for lots of sun, southerly winds, and getting up to almost 80 degrees tomorrow out in Cuero. So again, we've got very low humidities. That's why I still have the alert, so do be cautious. Then the weekend, the moisture comes back, winds kick in, little frontal system here, and we're with a little luck and hope and a prayer, by Wednesday, Thursday, we might actually see some actual moisture around South Texas and Crossroads as well. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that and put Crossroads Today on your phone. We'll toss it over to Maxwell, who's got your athlete of the week.
Thanks, Max. Not just one athlete of the week, though. We got 2 athletes of the week here that we're going to reveal here tonight. I'll tell you who those 2 are coming up in sports. Good evening, Crossroads. Hope everyone's enjoyed a almost full first day here at March Madness. But if you want to take a little bit of break here from the madness, I got here your athletes of the week, not just our athlete of the week. We got two athletes that are going to go from Victoria East powerlifting with Currie Garcia and Olivia Zaboral. Here's more for our athletes of the week. For this week's Athlete of the Week, we're not just handing out to one athlete, we're giving out to two athletes from Victoria East Girls Powerlifting in Currie Garcia and Olivia Zaboral. These two ladies were state champions for East, with Garcia winning the 181-pound weight class and Zaboral winning the 198-pound weight class. Garcia talks about what becoming a state champ meant to her.
Accomplished, honestly. It makes me feel like my practice and all my hard work, sweat, blood, and tears most literally was paid off.
Garcia's total of all lifts at state were 505 pounds on squat, which broke the squat record at state, benched 275 pounds, and deadlifted 425 pounds. Now, with all these huge numbers, you would think she's done this for a while. Well, she just got started into powerlifting only about a year ago.
It's not something I've always done. I started last year and I placed second at state, and I totaled 1,000 pounds at state.
With Garcia putting up big numbers at state, Zaboral did as well, squatting 435 pounds, benched 290 pounds, and deadlifted 380 pounds. Now, different than Garcia, Zaboral's been doing powerlifting since her freshman year of high school.
Really, after the first meet of my freshman year, I knew that I wanted to do this until high school, maybe, and even college. I just fell in love with the sport. I've always loved lifting and lifting weights. I just fell in love with the adrenaline and everything about the sport.
In all, both Garcia and Zaboral made the city of Victoria proud, becoming state champions last weekend. Can't wait to see what they do next year, and congrats to Currie Garcia and Olivia Zaboral for being our athletes of the week. All right, now we're from one athlete of the week to a former athlete of the week, and refer to Sierra Tilley. She competed in the Beeville track meet, and Tilley kept breaking records today. She broke the discus record for the second time in a row with her throw today of 150 feet and a half inches. That was also a record that she broke. She had 148 there a couple weeks back. She also broke the long-standing record in shot put today with the toss there of 44 feet and 4.5 inches. That toss was broken there from previous holder that was held from 1997. Yes, with 43 feet there at 7.5 inches. That was from Lemetria Green. So congrats there to Sierra Tilley. Just keep breaking records there at shot and discus. Now over there, just some baseball. Victoria East faced Calhoun Sand Crabs, Riverside Stadium, and East, one of the top teams in our area. The record heading into this game was 16-2, and again, took care of business tonight. They won this game 10-0 over Calhoun. They get into win number 17, and Grayson Youngblood hit a 2-run single to help East get the win. And also, they're going to be back in action on Tuesday, where the Battle of East and West will be at Riverside Stadium. Now over to some playoff soccer with both of our girls teams and East and West in the first round action. Victoria West won over the Waltrip Rams there 2-0. They got goals tonight there from Meredith Fox and Sydney Simpson to help lead the way. West will now wait to play the Anderson Trojans or the Georgetown Eagles, which will play there tomorrow night. Over to Victoria East, they also played at Warden High School. After Victoria West, they played the Milby Buffs, and they got the win, a shutout victory, winning 3-0. Mackay Amateur led the way, having 2 goals, and along with senior Addison Padilla, had 1 goal to help the team out. Also, Lydia Traxler, the goalkeeper, had 9 big-time saves to help the win. East is either going to face Pflugerville Panthers or McCallum Knights there in the next round. Now, for all the rest of tonight's playoff action for boys and girls soccer, I'll post an article later on crossroadstoday.com for everyone to look at. And now, we've talked about March Madness, and I mentioned it started today, but you still have a chance to win our prize by competing in our Final Four Frenzy in our 16-team and 4-team brackets, sponsored by Coastal Bend College. However, you'll have to wait until March 24th to compete in our 16-team bracket and April 1st to compete in our 4-team bracket. But when it does open, go to www.crossroadstoday.com/entertainment/Final Four Frenzy, and then you have to create an account and press play now. And the winner will get a family 4-pack to Moody Gardens, which includes an aquarium, rainforest pyramids, 3D 4D audience recognition theaters, 1-night hotel stay, and 2 rounds of golf. And again, kind of made some interesting predictions earlier. I talked about the Houston Cougars getting the job done. Also, I want to apologize because I said in the 6 o'clock show that Texas A&M was not going to get the win. Well, yes, they did over Yale. They won 80 there to 71. And again, other teams playing right now. Texas Tech is currently playing North Carolina Wilmington. Again, we'll see that result later tonight. That's going to do it here in sports. Don and Shawna, back to you.
Max, thank you, and stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10, we'll take a last look at your weather. Plus, police in Ohio faced an unexpected pursuit that had drivers doing a double take. It's the GOAT of all chases.
Stay up. I'll make you a bracelet. I intentionally didn't watch the finale before you came out, even though I could have. I was telling the audience how unselfish an act that was. And
That's incredible. Can we have a round of applause for Jimmy?
A rogue goat took Akron police on a wild chase, trotting down the highway and causing quite a scene. Dispatch received several calls about the goat running loose. Officers responded quickly, stopping traffic to keep both drivers and the goat safe. After a bit of a struggle, they managed to pin the four-legged fugitive down and get her off the road. A check showed no tags, chips, or markings to reveal where she came from. Luckily, a local rescue group stepped in, picked her up, and took her to a farm. But she does have a new name. Yeah. The rescue gave her the perfect one, Fugitive.
The American Kennel Club picked its top dog breeds for 2024. The French Bulldog reigns supreme as the most popular purebred dog in the U.S. for a third year in a row. The Kennel Club's next 5 most popular breeds are the Labrador Retriever, Golden Retriever, German Shepherd, Poodle, and Dachshund. Rankings are based on the number of purebreds added to the AKC registry in the last year. By the way, if you buy a French Bulldog from a breeder, it can cost up to $8,000.
Oh, wow. Oh.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't see that. I don't see it. It's just kind of ugly to me.
I don't see rain either, but do you see rain?
I see rain.
Yes.
I see rain on the horizon, folks. Look at this. It's going to be a little bit more humid tomorrow, but still windy in the afternoon. Very windy for Saturday and Sunday. Little front, no big deal Monday morning, but it's Wednesday, Thursday of next week. You can write this down, folks. Looks like rain is finally coming back to the crossroads.
Fingers crossed.
Real rain.
Well, being kind might make you happier than a bigger paycheck. Believe it or not, that's according to the latest World Happiness Report released on the International Day of Happiness. This year, researchers focused on generosity, like donating money, volunteering, helping a stranger. It turns out 70% of people worldwide did at least one kind act last month. And according to a Gallup expert, those little acts of kindness boost happiness even more than having a higher salary.
All right.
I don't know.
I'm so happy.
Thanks for joining us.
Jimmy Kimmel Live starts now.